morning, it's Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. Looking at MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Friday the 18th of December. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, looking at the hourly candlesticks, bearish start to the day here. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid a fallback through the pivot at 22,538 to take around this first major resistance level, sitting at 23,878. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high 23,630. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 24 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, we've got the second major resistance level at 24,971 and resistance at 25,000 to limit any upside on the day. A fallback through the pivot will bring the first major support level at 21,445 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should steer clear of sub 21,000 levels. Second major support level sits at 2105. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histograms this morning after yesterday's bearish cross, supporting this early pullback. On the EMAs, we're also seeing the 50 begin to flatten on the 100 and the 200. So need to keep an eye on that 50. So key through the early part of the day, avoid a fallback through the pivot at 22,538. Break back through to 23,600 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, also bearish start this morning. Going to need to see Ethereum move through the pivot at 649.07 to bring the first major resistance level at 671.35 into play. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break back through to 670s. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 677.05 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, should see Ethereum test resistance at 700. Second major resistance level sits at 699.33. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the first major support level at 621.09 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should stay clear of sub 600. Second major support level sits at 598.81. Looking at the MACDs, widening of the bearish histogram this morning after yesterday's bearish cross, supporting this early pullback. On the EMAs, we're also seeing the 50 flatten on the 100 and the 200. So need to look for direction from the 50 EMA through the morning. So key through the early part of the day, move through the pivot and break back through to 670s to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar, bucking the trend early this morning. Going to need to see Litecoin avoid the pivot at 100.54 to take a run at this first major resistance level, setting at 110.63. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break back through to 110 levels. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect yesterday's high at 110 and the first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, got the second major resistance level at 120.1 that will likely come into play. A fall through the pivot will bring the 62% fib at 100 and the first major support level at 91.07 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Litecoin should stay clear of sub-90s. Second major support level sits at 80.98. Looking at the MACD, slight narrowing of the bearish histogram, supporting this early upside. We're also seeing the 50 pull away from the 100 and the 200, suggestive of further upside ahead. So key through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot, break back through to 110s to give Litecoin a run at 120. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, bearish start. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP move through the pivot at 0.5926 to take a run at this 23.6% fib at 0.6274 and the first major resistance level at 0.6449. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break out from the 23.6% fib. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 0.659 to cap any upside. In the event of another breakout, should see Ripple's XRP test resistance at 0.7 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 0.7114. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the 38.2% fib at 0.5285 and the first major support level at 0.5261 into play. Buying extended sell-off on the day. Ripple's XRP should avoid sub 0.5 levels. Second major support level sits at 0.4737. Looking at the MACDs, we've got a widening of the bearish histogram supporting this early pullback. On the EMAs, however, we're seeing the 50 pull away marginally from the 100 and the 200, and the 100i a bullish cross through the 200 that would support a breakout on the day. So keep through the early part of the day, move through the pivot and the 23.6% fib to then bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play.